think self-service analytics is like having your own toolbox at home, right? With a hammer and a screwdriver and maybe a drill. And similarly, self-service analytics is about giving employees in an organization tools to analyze, access, and visualize data for themselves and gain insights. And I think it's very beneficial to do so because you wouldn't order or you wouldn't call a handyman to, hang a picture on the wall, right? Because it's just, it's too much cost. You have to take the time to call them. They have to take the time to come. You have to pay them, all of these things. It's just much simpler to take the hammer on your own and put that nail in the wall and hang that picture.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Data Innovation Podcast. Thank you for joining us. In this podcast, you find expert voices, fresh insights, and the newest trends in data and AI. Let's dive in. Our topic today is data democratization and self-service analytics. Is this a perfect match or a growing conflict? For talking about this topic, we have two experts here with us. We have the Felix Mutzl and we have the Lea Fleckner. And welcome to our podcast. Would you like to tell to our audience who you are? Let's start with Lea.
Yes, thank you for having me today. I'm looking forward to talking about self-service analytics to you. So hello, everyone. My name is Lea Fleckner. I'm a solutions engineer at Dataiku. I've been at the company for 3 years now. And before that, I used to work as a consultant and a data scientist as well. And so I was able to experience firsthand, let's say, how companies or especially expert teams struggle with just providing access to analytics inside an organization because there is just simply so many requests for that. So I joined Dataiku to help companies rephrase or change how they approach this topic.
That means helping employees as well for doing analytics by themselves.
Yes, exactly. So Dataiku provides a very comprehensive tool set for people of various different skills to really intuitively start leveraging analytics on their own.
Great. Thank you for being here. Felix, tell us about you.
Hi, happy to be here. My name is Felix. I'm a data and AI strategist with Databricks. Databricks is an international data and AI company. We built a data platform, and I grew up in, say, manufacturing in multinational companies. I built data platforms in the past, and now I'm helping our customers across Europe in building out their data strategies and building out their data landscapes in order to then create awesome data products, AI, and generally make the lives of the people that work in these organizations better day by day.
Great. That means that those tools that you are representing today or companies are complementing themselves as well.
Yes, I would say so.
Great. And this will be a topic today in our meetup in Cologne as well. But now, staying with the podcast, we will start with simple questions, or let's say defining the two terms that we have mentioned until now. We have talked about data democratization, and we have talked about self-service analytics. Let's start with data democratization. Felix, can you define for our audience in simple terms, what does it mean?
So my simple definition would be give everyone in the organization access to insight. So everyone access and insight. Everyone means literally everyone. So we're talking about data literacy. It talks a lot about culture. Access is not just rules in the sense of you have access to this kind of data, but it's also about enablement. And then insight is the combination out of context, knowledge, and data to generate insight that helps everyone in the organization do their job better and faster.
Democratization. We will be talking in more details in following this podcast. Yes, it's for me, when I think about democratization, I think about enabling people, of course, but it is necessary as well to have good quality of data and so on. But I will not explain too much at the beginning. Let us define the other term that we have had. Self-service analytic. What does it mean for you, Lea?
Yeah. So I'm going to use a metaphor here. I think self-service analytics is like having your own toolbox at home, right? With a hammer and a screwdriver and maybe a drill. And similarly, self-service analytics is about giving employees in an organization tools to analyze, access, and visualize data for themselves and gain insights. And I think it's very beneficial to do so because you wouldn't order or you wouldn't call a handyman to, hang a picture on the wall, right? Because it's just, it's too much cost. You have to take the time to call them. They have to take the time to come. You have to pay them, all of these things. It's just much simpler to take the hammer on your own and put that nail in the wall and hang that picture. And so I think self-service analytics is a very similar thing, right? Giving employees that access, that empowerment to work with data on their own.
Great. And as the same, when Felix was talking about democratization and I thought about data quality, but the topic self-service analytic, I think immediately, of course, data quality as well, but data literacy and knowing how to use this hammer and which kind of good I can use, because otherwise when you are using a very tiny good, I would say, it is possible that this is breaking as well when
Yes.
you are not using the right tool.
Yes.
Let us, exactly. This is one point. You want to complement something else?
No, I would say that's absolutely it, right? You need to know how to use it because you can damage a lot. You can damage the wall. You can injure yourself, right? I think it's the perfect metaphor.
Well, if the hammer is the only tool that you have, then every problem is a nail, right?
This is a perfect match, this example. Yes, it's a good one. Yes, then, okay, we already have talked about things that are necessary, like data quality, data literacy. Let us talk about the benefits. We start before we talk about the challenges and things which are necessary. Can you, Felix, help us or our audience to for refreshing about the benefits, which are the real benefits that a company can or one organization can have by introducing these data democratization and self-service analytics. That means when business users are enabled for or to make analysis independently.
I think, so for me, that's two things. It's about speed, and the other is about value. So, it's value, it is atmosphere, it is culture. It is an atmosphere of empowerment, of enablement. I am able to do this myself. And then this whole thing of, say, for example, data literacy. If I see the value that I gain from this, from my day-to-day, then maybe the organizational goal of data literacy, where somebody somewhere in an ivory tower says, well, we want to all be data literate, becomes an intrinsic goal for me because I see how that helps. And then, well, speed, and Lea, you alluded to that before, is, I think, pretty obvious that if I'm able to do it myself, I don't have to wait for the handyman. Now, where does all of this come from? I think there was like, I don't know, what is that now? It's like 15 years ago, more than 15 years ago, there was like the FANGs, those engineering cultures, like for example at Google, that would come up with something like Hadoop in order to have large amounts of data that then powers their decision engines, where they were able to take faster decisions impacting their business because people in the organization were unable to do so. Now, most of the rest of organizations that are out there do not have these engineering capabilities, this engineering workforce that a Google, a Meta, a Netflix has. And I think what we've seen over the past, say, 10 years has been a lot of harmonization in that space. So these tools that some of these organizations built, open sourced, were picked up by a plethora of software vendors, put that into managed services, and now offer that, your toolbox, to organizations all around the world. Now, data and AI, I think there's a lot of buzz around that. There's a lot of expectation also. Hey, we're going to use AI in order to run our business more efficiently. We're going to use AI in order to create new revenue streams. We're going to use AI in order to help our customers be more loyal with our product. And all of that requires a lot of hard work. It requires obviously tools, it requires technology, but it also requires cultural change within organizations. And that is the second aspect around value, atmosphere, culture that I think is so crucial and why data democratization makes so much sense. Because that way I bring this idea of use data and AI to do your job better day by day to every individual within the organization, no matter whether they sit in an office or work at the shop floor.
Yes, I already mentioned as well, I was sitting, let's say, on the other side a couple of months ago, let's say, when I was working in a company leading a data team, and I know how big is this needs or this need of business users for doing analytics by themselves. And there are other aspects that has to be considered, as we already have mentioned. I think you have a big experience in this case, working as strategist as well, or let's say one of your functions is to help companies in Europe, or let's say by going through the transformation, data and digital transformation. And as I already mentioned as well, okay, we have to be aware about the challenges, and given this, let's say, this empowerment, it is, as you mentioned, I see the benefits as well. It is about saving time, of course. When you have people who is able to deal with these tools, then they can be, let's say, yes, able to produce insights as well. And this is for a company which is, let's say, well prepared with technologies, with, let's say, knowledge, skills, could be very, very difficult, no? But on the other hand, as we already have mentioned, when literacy is missing, data quality is not the right one, then it could be very, very dangerous. That's why I would like to present as well the other side, or let's say the challenges that could be connected with this empowerment. Lea, can you tell us from your experience, which could be the challenges there?
Yeah. So actually, you already kind of mentioned two very important ones, right? The first one is a skill gap. And I'm going to go back to my metaphor because I really love it. If you don't know how to use your hammer, how to use that drill, you are going to get frustrated with it, right? Or you're just going to ignore it, basically, and maybe never hang that picture on the wall. It's just going to stand in the corner and you're going to, just ignore it away, the problem, right? And so I think it is very important to make sure that people are enabled properly how to use the tools, but also how to understand the data and work with that data, right? And generate the right insights for the right questions. Secondly, also, like you already said, data quality is a big, big topic. Or I'd broaden that even further beyond data quality into analytics quality. Because let's imagine we all start doing our DIY project at home, right? The quality is going to differ from every one of us, right? And some are going to learn properly how to do it, while others are just going to start doing it, right? similar. I think we've all built an IKEA bed, for example, right? And some really read the instructions and start building from the instructions, while others, they just go with the flow, which is more like me. But basically, that leads to a lot of difference in quality, right? I think similarly with self-service analytics tools, insights can be interpreted in different ways. And if there is no proper enablement on what data is available and how to work with that, then the quality will suffer from that as well. And the decisions being made on top of those insights are also possibly going to be wrong, right? And then finally, and maybe something that is coming up more and more, I would say there's also a challenge with security and compliance, because data is, it's a very, very important thing to have to keep safe in an organization. And it can be risky to give access to so many people to that data, right? So it's important to make sure that you have an oversight over what data is being used by whom, and how they're using it, and ensure that it's not being leaked in the wrong way, through the wrong hands, let's say.
This is very funny when you talk about do it yourself. I am a big fan of do it yourself in the private way as well, doing some products, let's say shampoo or something like this. And of course, I notice that this is a difference. Or when I am washing clothes, for example, that when you are using chemical products, in mostly of the case, it is maybe getting more clean, let's say.
Yeah.
But yes, it is about the expectations as well. Now, when I am doing these products, for example, I am thinking about nature and how to reduce at least my footprint. But exactly, when organizations are aware about the skills that they have, and let's say I wouldn't say the risk, because it would be too negative to say the risk. But let's say when they are aware about skills and what maybe they need for improving this quality of the analytics, as you said, not only the data quality, the analytic quality. I think this point is a very good one. And of course, I try, for example, in my example with the natural products, I try to keep improving, and this should be the organizations the same as well, providing the employers with the skills they need for making better analysis.
Yes, and I would add to that not only the skills, but maybe also guidelines for using them safely, right? How do I use that drill? I need to plug it in, but I need to make sure it's safely plugged in. The cord is not somewhere in my way so that I cannot get hurt by it, for example, right? And similarly, when I work with data, how do I properly go about it? How do I properly access that data? Make sure that authorization is there, that I am actually allowed to access that, and I know what I am doing with it, right? And not just, starting without thinking first, let's say.
Yes, and this is a good complement to the benefits that Felix mentioned as well. Because otherwise, as you say, the build is going to stay on the corner, not being used. And this happens in some organizations as well, that they are just dreaming about using data, analyzing data, but they don't have the possibilities. Maybe not everyone has a big data team in the organization for doing this job, and then this about enablement, no?
Yeah, and maybe about the cultural change, like Felix was saying.
A good point as well. Yes, we were talking in one podcast as well with Marco Goya, who was talking about the data culture, and this is, a very important point as well. Yes, now I am very curious. We all know which is the trend currently about data analytics. We could even talk about AI analytics. Let's say some tools are even making promises about, you just need to press a button and you get all your analytics ready, let's say. What could be the future, what do you think, Felix? Well, how could the future looks like when we say, okay, AI-driven analytics is let's say, getting more important? What about democratization? Which role would take democratization in this development?
Well, I think what's happening right now is AI is changing the way how we interact with data, but more importantly, how we generate insights. And I mean, text to SQL, that's nothing new. That's been around 10 years ago. I think what's changed is that large language models today are much better at generating, for example, a SQL statement in order to get data out. And if you now combine that with understanding of data that is available, to your point, governance, then these answers that you get from a prompt of give me the top 5 selling products, the answers start making much more sense. I think what's next is, if we look back into late 22, there was a lot of hype around GPT, large language model. Oh wow, this all of a sudden, like this talk to a chatbot starts to sound much more natural. Oh, that's great. Are the answers much better? Yeah. Well, I think then in 23, there was this race of benchmarks. So it was, oh yeah, there's this new large language model, but it's better in benchmark XYZ than this other model. And I think the big realization last year, definitely in the corporate environment, was that while this pursuit of general intelligence may be interesting for research, but what really matters to me is understanding my data in my specific company, business, domain, whatsoever context. So this notion of data intelligence as opposed to general intelligence. And we all heard about RAG applications. If there is a theme for 2025, I guess it's agentic AI. So agents that do analysis, that diagnose a problem, and then suggest a solution, an action, and maybe even to an extent that they don't just suggest an action when the store manager asks, hey, what's wrong with my store? But they actually go about changing things, like, for example, promoting different products that sell better in other stores, or automatically setting up a meeting with the manager in the region of another store where certain categories sell much better than what it does in my store, in order to have an exchange over, well, why is that so? And I think this is what is going to change. So we have AI interwoven into much more of business processes. In that context, I also find it very interesting what SAP is doing. And it's not just about diagnosing and saying, hey, this is what's wrong, but it's also about taking action and automating that action within boundaries. Let's see what 2026 is about.
We stay curious. But this is a good, let's say, a good I don't know the English word, the prognostic, let's say. Yes.
Crystal ball. Yeah.
For what you already have mentioned, it's a good one. I think this could like it could looks like this. Great. So now, when we started with our topic, we were announcing, let's say, or thinking about the question, perfect match or growing conflict. Lea, what do you think? Just to summarize our beautiful conversation, I have enjoyed it a lot. I have to mention it again. And what do you think that this could be, just to summarize, data democratization and self-service analytics, growing conflict or perfect match?
I would say they are natural partners, the two. So like Felix was saying, there's a lot of upside to democratizing data, to fostering that data-driven culture in an organization. But I also think people need tools to really get their hands onto that data and work with that data, right? And so I think self-service is the way for data democratization to work in an organization. But I also want to say, like we said, it depends, right, how it's implemented in a company. So just putting out the technology is not going to solve this problem. Going with Dataiku or Databricks or other technology, right? It's about implementing change and considering the people and the processes as well, to really foster that culture, to really build that culture, build those skills, and make sure that the data quality is right.
This is a great conclusion. Thank you so much. The time is like flying. I enjoyed so much. I have to repeat it again. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, or us.
Us.
And thank you so much.
Great. So thank you to you as well for listening to this episode. I enjoy it a lot, as I already mentioned, and I hope you like it, you enjoy it, and feel free for subscribe, for share our podcast, Data Innovation. And in the meantime, during we are producing new episodes, let's say, stay curious, stay data-driven, and keep innovating. Thank you so much, and I hope I listen to you in the next time. Bye-bye.